Well, good morning. Welcome to B Cube Sunday morning. It's going to be me and maybe one or two other people. We had a glitch. My planned guest found out yesterday wasn't able to make it. And normally I am very good at rounding up people who have something to say. These days wasn't so good. But here's the bright side. I always have something to say. Now, some of you may know that, here, let me turn on the chat because chat's going to be important today. The reason is you're going to steer me into what you want to talk about. Now, some of you guys, well, here's what did this. You guys aware there's this aircraft carrier called USS Abraham Lincoln? And you are aware that I don't know how many people are on that boat. Ship. Boats are the little tubular things that go underwater. But the joy of it is they eat a lot. They drink a lot. For example, you have to really have a sense of how much water 6,000 people can use up taking a shower, washing their dishes, cooking their food, and washing the decks. Oh, yeah, or the airplanes. The reason I bring that up is I was on board the USS Enterprise once. I served there. It wasn't my most favorite thing, but I saw some things there that I'll never see again. And I will be rich. I will die richer for the memories. But in one case, the Enterprise was a fairly large ship. It had 8 nuclear reactors, and of those 8 nuclear reactors, you needed most of them to be working at any given time. And in a reactor, it's very important that the water be clean and pure because there's nothing worse than turning on your reactor spigot and having it spit out rusty water. And if anybody wants to give me shit for saying the term reactor spigot, I know there are no such thing. However, um, good morning, folks. Somebody there posted, and I don't know when, but they said, "Is Stone Kettle okay?" Um, they said that they don't see any of his posts on um, Threads and Blue Sky. Well, considering the fact that he is not exactly the government's favorite person, I couldn't tell you where to find his posts, but I know that they have been shifting around. So anybody here who has got a link to his posts, feel free to post it so that our friend at Aldrich can tell them. And good morning. Hey, Jeff. You know, and by the way, here's an interesting premise. Since it's just me this morning, if some of you feel like you got something to say that you can say it better than what I'm doing, you just say the word and I will send you a link and you can come join me as we go through this. But anyway, back to where I was on the Abraham Lincoln. Bless your all's heart. Good to see all of you guys. And yeah, thanks, Barb. So anybody worried about Jim, he's obviously still alive or he's got It could be he's got somebody just like Trump does. A person sits beside him and smiles at him a lot and then writes all of his posts for him. Yeah, I doubt that because Jim is so original. However, back to the Abraham Lincoln. Well, this fella we all know and love, the Orange Cretin, um, went and got himself in a war and got his supply bases blown up. Now, a ship at sea, you say to yourself, isn't that kind? How do you do that? How do you keep everything going? Because you got to remember they've got diesel generators that need diesel. They've got people that need fed. They've got airplanes up there that need JP5 or whatever they're putting in airplanes these days. I don't know. They need bombs. They need bullets. They need lots of stuff. And, oh, he had a cold. That's a bummer. So now in the Navy, I had the pleasure of serving on the USS Sacramento for a while too. And that's a ship that supplies aircraft carriers and the like. So what you've got is you get out there, you're sailing your ship out on the Big Blue, and then this other little ship, and not little, Sacramento was on a battleship hull, if I recall, comes up alongside, and you throw a lot of lines back and forth, and you get the cranes working, and all of a sudden, you've got these big hoses running back and forth, and you're transferring your fuel and other stuff, and then you're sending over boxes and crates and nets full of stuff, and it's called an underway replenishment. And I've been on board the Enterprise when we were receiving, and on board the Sacramento when we were sending, and that's a whole lot of stuff going back and forth. Well, all of a sudden, you ain't got as many supplies going through. And think about it, 6,000 people in there, 250 or 270 days at sea. Now, I've been at sea for some reasonably good deployments, and Indian Ocean is hot, I will tell you that. And so it's just not that much fun to be out there for that long. It's tough. And when we were out there one time, we had a little problem with our turbidity, they called it. We had 5 of our 8 reactors went down, and we didn't have hardly any fresh water. Now, there we were out there, and the Russians were flying their planes overhead, just to remind us they were there. This was back in the day. And the captain, Mr. Austin, Captain Austin, he will always stick with me. He said, well, we can't let the Russians know what kind of condition we're in. Now, the Russians probably knew what he had for breakfast, so I'm not going to get excited about that. But he had them haul up the hoses up on the flight deck and started washing down the airplanes with fresh water while we were down being told we couldn't take showers. And let me tell you, in the middle of the Indian Ocean, a bunch of sailors working in an engine room where the temperatures range from 90 to 130, 140 degrees, being told they can't take showers, and laundry is restricted. we were not smelling nice. It was not a clean place. So I understand why the sailors on board the USS Abraham Lincoln are not happy. And then to find out that Pete Hegseth has no understanding, no sympathy. Screw him. Um, I mean, I just don't understand Trump and the military. He has no respect for these people. None at all. Oh, by the way, I never, so anyway, good morning to you guys. So now that I've got that off my chest, let's go talk about Dory. I think it's Dory Miller. Interesting story about Dory Miller. They named an aircraft carrier after him, a pending aircraft carrier. And turns out that they found out he was black. I know. Uh, the fella was a hero. I mean, an honest to God, no shit. Did the work, hero. At Pearl Harbor, he shot down. He was a mess. He worked on the mess decks. The mess decks, in case anybody, those of you who don't know, is where you feed everybody. Well, the shit's going to hell. They're being attacked. He's out. He gets out on the decks, and he gets asked to help work this gun, feed ammunition, so the other guy can use it. Well, the guy's doing his stuff, and next thing he knows, if I read the story correctly, he looks over and Dory's got the second gun up there, and he's just shooting the hell out of the Japanese attackers. Someday we'll get into an interesting story about why they were attacking, but that's another day. So he shoots down, confirmed. I think he had 2 confirmed kills, and the folks who were up there with him says they think he got 4 on a gun he had never been trained on. So he's doing this. He gets nominated for a Medal of Honor because he did more that day than shoot that machine gun. The captain was told to leave the ship, abandon his ship, and he said no, but the bridge was so badly shot up, and he was wounded, and he was exposed. And Dory is the guy that went up and grabbed him, got him off the bridge and into a protected area. They gave the captain the Medal of Honor. Turns out that the fella who was making those types of decisions didn't think that black people could do combat roles. And so he refused to act on Dory Miller's Medal of Honor nomination. So here it is. The captain who stuck with his ship, honorable man, got to say that. And the guy who made it possible, who climbed up the ladders through the fire and carried him to safety, he didn't. He was also nominated for a Medal of Honor. Guess who got it? It wasn't Dory. So there's a whole lot of history in there about Dory Miller. I'd never heard of him, to be honest. And once I did read it, it was like, wow. I was impressed. But again, yeah, David, unbelievable that they're doing this. a draft dodging pedophile felon. I guess I can't really call him a pedophile. If you actively protect pedophiles, that you flew on their airplane and they're your buddies and you hire them and you doesn't necessarily mean you were one, even though multiple girls said that he did. Ah, hell with it. He's a frickin' pedophile. And it just sucks. And I oftentimes think, and this is something for an honest to God Goduncan moment, and that is, how are we gonna fix? He took half a century's worth of progress since the Warren Court, civil rights, since the Civil Rights Act, and him and his Republican cronies have systematically undone that. And now he's got Todd Blanche in there as Attorney General. God help us. A man who says, Sir, what do you want me to do? Oh, I got to warn you, says Trump, it's illegal. Oh, no, Mr. Blanche, it can't be illegal. Because if the president does it, it's not illegal. You know, Nixon got mocked for saying that on the David Frost interviews. And but we had to wait until we got the right kind of Supreme Court. Then they said it. What used to be considered one of the most shameful things that a former president ever said, if the president does it, it's not illegal, became a standard for a whole administration. Yeah, he won't sue you if you call him one. Well, I got to say, thank you for the term, David, draft dodging felon, uh, does start suing, people want to laugh him out of a court. Because, I mean, back to that point, how are we ever going to repair everything? Because I gotta believe that there was some arm twisting went on with from President Johnson and overtime there to get all of the things built. It took Nixon facing impeachment to get the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, that kind of stuff. He didn't do it because he was a nice guy and he loved the mountains. He did it because he thought it might save his bacon. So anybody thinks that once Trump is gone, we're all going to breathe a deep sigh of relief and it's all going to be back to normal? No, it ain't going to be that way. There are Supreme Court decisions that have changed things. There are laws that got passed that all of a sudden, some of them, their politicians might say, you know, I really feel bad about having to vote for that law, but you know what? It kind of helps me. I was watching Lawrence O'Donnell the other night. He used to work for the Senate. He was talking about, we understand that why these senators that are saying they're leaving the Senate, they're resigning, and we kind of thought, oh, these are the guys that are going to stand up to Trump. Turns out they didn't. One of the key reasons they don't is the old saying, anybody here who knows a Marine? knows the phrase "once a Marine, always a Marine." I I got my butt in an interesting altercation at the Coy Town Bar in Orlando, Florida. Over, I didn't know about that saying, and I said, "Oh," guy told me he had been in the Marines. And I said, "Oh, you're an ex-Marine," and he said, "There's no such thing as an ex-Marine, damn it," and got all huffy. Then one of his, went over and was talking to my buddy, and they said, "What was that all about?" And I said, "Well, the guy's an ex-Marine, and he was just didn't like being called an ex-Marine." Next thing you know, I've got 4 Marines that are explaining to me that I'm going to go outside, and I did. But to their honor, they only made me deal with the one, and he hadn't met too many farm boys who shucked hay, or so it was interesting. But I did walk away with that learning. I don't call a Marine an ex-Marine, uh, partially out of respect and partially out of a memory about there was some pain involved for me. So I mean, the tariffs. I look at what we got this guy doing right now. He doesn't care if it's illegal. And the people who are making the money don't care if it's illegal. Well, Baba, I won't say I kicked him at his ass. I was just a wrestler. And you let a wrestler get a hold of you, he can stay a hold of you for a long time. And that's about how it went. Um, but like I say, former Marine, um, or whatever the right phrase is now, I forget. But anyway, back to the away from the Marine story, because that's just not important. The joy of it is there's a funny thing about the Senate. If you're in the Senate, you know what you get to take with you when you leave the Senate? Access. You can go into the Senate hearings that no other lobbyist can go into. So you go sign up to be a lobbyist. Now, do you think if I was a lobbyist, I could be the world's greatest expert on nuclear power and publishing or whatever? And I sign up and I want to be a lobbyist. Sure. So where you find your senators? Oh, well, they're all out on the floor right now. Oh, can I go out there and talk to them? Oh, no. Only senators and former senators can go out there and do that. So all of a sudden, you've got a guy making millions and millions of dollars a year because he got elected to be in the Senate, and his privileges include, in his retirement package, includes that he still gets to go out on the Senate floor and listen to all the debate going on. He gets to talk to his buddies and say, "Well, what do you think? How are you gonna vote? What are you gonna do?" And he knows all that stuff. And now he can get out there and he can buy and sell his stocks. He can advise people on buying and selling their stocks. And it's just damn near criminal. If I ever wanted to fix lobbying, it would be to ban for 10 years anybody who was served in the Senate or on the House from entering the floor. And good God, people. Yes, Baba, I did wrestle with my conscience. It's kind of like a something about being big, relatively good size in the Navy. It made you a target for people wanting to demonstrate that they could beat you. I remember one time I had a fella, he was a better wrestler than I. And he got a hold of my arms and neck and head and had them all tied up in a little knot. And I couldn't get loose for squat. And so finally I managed to get to my feet, and I just did one of what would have been today considered a pro wrestling showpiece. I just flopped myself back and landed my whole weight on him. I could hear the whoosh as he hit the deck. Um, and since I outweighed him by 50 pounds, I really felt almost bad. But anyway, that was for Baba. You know what, Barb? You're right. And this is one of the reasons why I really dislike Nancy Pelosi, because she refused to do anything uh, about these kinds of things. She blocked a bill that would have kept members of the House from buying and selling stocks, individual stocks. Good God, people, it's legalized bribery. Hey, I got a good stock discount for you. Or how many times you hear about one of these guys buying a house on credit? They get a loan for a house, don't make a single payment on it, and then when they leave, they get to sell the house back for whatever it's accrued. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she was a powerfully good politician in some ways, and that's because just like any first line manager back where at Hanford where I worked, if you could get your people a little bit extra overtime and weren't too careful about how well documented it was, your people loved you and would go to the mat for you and do anything you wanted. But it didn't mean it was right. And that's one of the things that I learned over the years. You can buy the when you buy the loyalty of your people with the government's money, you're just as crooked as anybody else. Well, David, I'm not sure. You see, that's an interesting point. David's talking about the centrist Dems are moving so far to the right for corruption. I am. There's the Democrats. I think who was that said I belong to no organized political party. I'm a Democrat. The fellow that uh, God, what was his name? In the 1930s, he flew around in an airplane a lot. He was a comedian. People liked him. And then he died one day when he airplane crashed. But this whole notion, uh, listen to David Gerald and Jim Wright, and they'll tell you about ain't nobody getting a pony. But so many of the uh, further left Democrats demand that they get a pony. And I gotta say, guys, um, nobody's getting a pony. I agree with Jim. But what we got to do is we got to vote. Them that votes gets to make the rules. Will Rogers, thank you. That was Will Rogers. I remember one of my favorite movies was a movie about Will Rogers, and I don't know who played him, who he was in it, but he's a funny fella. But no, the Democrats in the center or left or right, we all got to work together, because I can tell you what, we can't afford to let the Republicans go add another $4 trillion to the debt while we're arguing about trivia. We need health care for everybody in this country. And don't tell me we can't afford it. We just choose not to do it. It's bluntly, it's a choice that we're making as a country not to give health care to people. It's just wrong. With all the horse shit, there's got to be a pony around here somewhere. Well, I tell you what, the pony I want to see is the pony that says, I'm sick. I can call a doctor. I can get in to see that doctor without having to, and then I can get treatment and I can be made well if possible. I don't know how many of you remember when Hillary Clinton pissed off the Republicans, or Bill Clinton pissed them off, when he put Hillary in charge of restructuring health care. They spent billions putting ads on TV that says, you know what? If you let this single payer system go through, we're going to be just like Canada. You won't be able to get treatment for your illnesses. You'll be waiting weeks and months to go see a doctor, and you won't be able to go see the doctor you want. Well, guess what? I got a piece of glass in my foot right now. It's still there. And I need to get it taken out. Okay. Well, to get it taken out, I need a referral to a podiatrist. And to get that referral, I have to go to my regular doctor. My regular doctor has an appointment waiting period of over a month. Okay. So now, and then once I get that, I got to get my 2-week waiting period or a month to go see the podiatrist. And once I get in the office to see the podiatrist, he's going to take a look at it and say, okay, I can see you in 3 weeks to do something about that. Isn't that kind of what they warned us would happen? Yeah. Now, on the other hand, if I was up in Canada, I'd be walking around on a pair of crutches with the Band-Aid on my foot from the surgery where they took the glass out. Already done. They just lie to us. They scare us. They couldn't tell us the truth about anything if it, I just don't get it. What is so God blessed hard about telling the truth? I don't know. Oh yeah, and you have to worry about them being in your network. What's funny is the first doctor I went to see was telling us, he spent more time telling us about the barbecue he was going to be going to after work that day than he did worrying about my foot. And he was mighty busy. He was so busy worrying about the barbecue that he forgot the x-ray. He forgot to actually clean the wound, forgot to put a dressing on it, and then gave me a prescription for amoxicillin on a wound that wasn't cleaned. Oh, trust me, I cleaned it. You want to see something funny? Um, I have, since I'm a diabetic and I have a shop and I ran a farm, my first aid kit is it's about twice the size. Oh, it's about the size of one of my monitors and 6 inches deep, and it's full. I'm a firm believer that we take care of stuff. And you know what else we need? We need to hire some grandmas. When I go to the doctor with the equivalent of a sticker in my foot, a small piece of glass, when I was a kid, my grandma did more surgery with a paring knife than almost anybody I can imagine. I remember one time I was up dumping the garbage, standing on the side of the top of an old stump, and I slipped and I fell and I landed with my knee right on the end where one of the tree branches had broken off, about that big around, and I jammed a piece of wood up into my knee. Well, I went back down to the house. Grandma looked at it, dosed it down with alcohol, got out her paring knife, and fixed it. And then she put a Band-Aid on it. A sadist nurse. What did your sadist nurse stick me up the finger once? Ouch. The sewing needles and a pair of tweezers. You betcha. We had cacti growing on the farm when I was growing up, and nothing we liked more than riding in the bed of the truck with our feet hanging over the edge. And the driver, they were pretty good about not driving over a cactus plant. But every now and then we wanted to be sure, so we'd lean our heads over and look under the truck to make sure that we weren't going to hit a cactus and get the spines on our feet. Now I think about that. We were just not always the smartest people. But it's fun. But back to what's going on these days. Um, the She liked it. She even said so. That's why they got her to do it the right way, since without the pressure, it would bleed profusely. I assume that has something to do with the finger. But so, nearest back to where we were at. How are we going to get our country back? Are these people, those are Republicans in Congress? I can guarantee you that after that $4 billion debt that they've racked up a little bit more of, and Trump's $2.2 billion stealing, they are just flat out going to explain that if a new president comes in and says, you know what, we'll keep the ballroom, but I'm sending in a crew, and they're going to take down, if it's gold enamel and screwed to the wall, it's all coming down. We are not going to try and rebuild the palace in Versailles on Pennsylvania Avenue, because you know what? There's a reason we chose not to build palaces and such like that for our leaders, because that's not who we were, and that's not who we are. So all that crap, needs to come down. If he needs, if period. But keep the building, use the building, but just get yourself somebody in there and remove all of the gold plated stuff. Melt it down and pay off the debt. As if you could pay off the debt of the size that Trump's gotten us. Ooh, there's a petition to expel the U.S. ambassador to Canada. Is that, I assume that's a Canadian petition. You know, I'm surprised that they even accepted him. It needs to be like it should have been after the Civil War. They should have hung the leaders of the Confederacy. No, we just should have enforced the agreements. Because you got to remember, the leaders of the Confederacy were oftentimes buddies with the leaders of the Union. They knew each other. Power knows power. You know, and they just should have stuck with it. You can never hold office again. Period. That should have been enforced. And everything, I don't know. I mean, I was raised blue on one side of my family, or I won't say blue, I'll say Democrat, and Republican on the other side. And it's a tough call, because I tell you what's funny, this idea that how do you say this? That it's okay to steal from the people. The government is a means of enriching oneself. Well, I'll tell you what you say, Bubba, it's just gold colored paint. I tell you, auction it off. That'd do it for me. Yeah. As like Barb says, once a senator, always a senator. All your network connections remain. You still get access to the floor. You still get it all. Hey, now this is a total change in subject, but I have a question, and I'm interested in an answer. Anybody who's ever published a book or two can go on Facebook right now and find out that somebody is putting out the ad that says, "Did you publish a book? If you did, you probably helped build AI. So where's your money?" Does anybody know? Has there been yet any kind of legitimate settlement where checks have been written and cashed by people whose work was taken and used for AI at the working level? I'm not talking about Stephen King. I'm talking about, the Patty Briggs, for example. You know, she's a very often a great. She hits number one and number two on the New York Times bestseller list. damn near every time she puts a book out. But I mean, are they? Is anybody actually getting paid, or are these just more scams? Uh, Contemplate that. Uh-oh. I missed a comment by John. Okay. As easily as Trump puts his name on stuff, I imagine it'll be just as easy to erase him. The reason I doubt that is because the courts basically still belong to Trump. The idea, the Congress uh, that stood by and watched him uh, pee all over the Constitution, and when he got it nice and limber, wipe his ass with it. They're going to suddenly the sanctity of the power of Congress. I'm waiting to see if they say we're sorry. There is no funding available to restore the Oval Office. There is no funding available to take the ballroom and make it into an American edifice, not a monument to Trump's ego. They will fight, they will do everything, and it's not just about a because if we try and rule through executive order like Trump did, then that means that the American has lost the rule of law completely. Because the rule of law says that you can't get somebody new come along and say, "Well, this is what the law is," and it's an institution, it's a surviving institution, and if we give that up for ease and quickness, so that we can make somebody really happy that they got an executive order that gives them daycare funding, at the same time, it's vulnerable to the next guy that walks in and says, I don't like kids getting daycare. I don't like hot lunches in school. I don't like any of this good stuff that's good for the people. And he can take it away with an executive order. We need the rule of law to manage the country. Uh, okay, I'm reading the comments here, so forgive me. Okay, so what we got here, it says lots of authors go with a non-exclusive payout since AI skims their work anyway. I have not heard of any successful lawsuits against AI skimming. um, didn't figure. It's kind of like collecting money for a somebody who some fella up in Canada took Alternative Truths, our first book, and he's got it nice. He's got it published, and there's not a damn thing I can do to get that book removed. Um, Now here's a funny one. We got AI out there. AI can seem to do everything. It can do everything except for discover spam phone services and identify them. It can do everything except for get rid of spam emails. It can do everything except for end fraud, because if somebody's making money on something using AI and it's coming out of your pocket, trust me, the companies that run the AI, which oftentimes are the same companies that are taking money out of your pocket anyway, um, they're not going to do it. If you think that, what if AT&T discovered that 7% of all the phone services they sell go to spammers? Do you think they'd be willing to give up 7% of their client list just to end spam? No, they're going to take the money and then join you in complaining about what's wrong. Ah, yes. Currently fighting a data center. Now, there's an interesting thing. The data centers, uh, tax breaks, excessive use of energy, and taking one of the rarest commodities on the planet is fresh water, and taking a lot of it. But if your city government is dominated by real estate people, and I'm not sure exactly where you live, uh, Baba, but most of the time, real estate people are heavy in the government. They make a lot of money off of the data centers, and me, I'm not a big fan of using water for um, golf courses, but I understand that it's part of the public life we live, where we all live here. And even though we think the golf courses are only for the wealthy, I know a lot of working men that play golf. I don't, for the record. But we got to find ways to say sometimes there's things we don't like that are going to use the public resources, but data centers ain't one of them. These guys want to build a data center. Tell you what, build a desalinization plant first so that you're supplying the water. Build the disposal system for the sludge from your desalinization plant before you come and say we're going to take the public water. Because in this country, we are really bad about preserving the public resources for the public. Because I don't know how to say this any clearer. The oil in the ground, the minerals in the mountains belongs to the people. And if all it takes is money to bribe a politician to get that money, to get $1 billion, you give a politician $1 million and you can buy $1 billion worth of assets. Politicians are one of the cheapest, the best investments you can ever get. But this notion that we sell them our public resources and then they sell them back to us tripled and quadrupled just pisses me off. The the effect of climate change on the with the data centers. I don't even know. I know this. I'm pro nuclear, but right now global warming has got so bad that the water necessary to cool a nuclear reactor isn't going to be there. And nuclear reactors require fresh water to produce power. And there's going to be a time come where we can't produce the power. We're going to get ourselves in a spiral that's going to lead us to a sucky place. It belongs to he who buys the mineral rights. But the question is, who sells them the mineral rights? Why are mineral rights so damn cheap uh, when it's government land? I don't know. I could just go on forever. Yeah, the drought, climate change. It's here, guys. Just fact. I mean, anybody in Spokane doubt climate change? We have forest fires up in the Arctic Circle. We got 4 major forest fires surrounding Spokane and making it almost unlivable. We have, and the rich people, guess what? They're going to find a place to live. They're going to have filtered air inlets into their house. Uh, but I know that right now, walking across the street is enough to get a coffin fit going. Bad in Colorado, yeah. It's bad everywhere. Uh, and I don't know what we're going to do about it because California, we had to learn finally that you can't keep rebuilding houses right in the middle of the same places you had them. We're looking at a 20% reduction in flow in the Colorado River right now. That is oh, Andrew Lucas, you're going to get me banned. Nothing cooler than the fresh breeze, the breeze from a guillotine. You know how bad it must have been um, to get so many people going to the guillotine in France. But if anybody thinks it's not going to be that we're not going to see bad, forgets that we got a guy right now facing a lifetime in prison because he shot a healthcare executive and killed him because that healthcare executive was making decisions that were killing hundreds and hundreds of Americans. So which one's going to prison? I tell you, there is just we living in an interesting place. But now you guys are just we're talking about this stuff. Oh crap. We're talking about it and I just realized we burned an hour. And I thank you guys for raising these questions you have here because I will tell you this. I want to see justice for the people who are running the American government right now. That's why right now there's I'm hoping to have them on next week or the week after. That for because we get for the 4th congressional district right up here in Washington, we had an interesting election. It's we have John. I keep wanting to change his name, but is forgive me for a second. I'm going to go get one of those flyers. I'm a coming. His name is John Dureski. Oops, I got him backwards. But what I love is he's follows the Ken Scholes dress code, plaid shirts, and he's a working man. He worked out at Hanford, got laid off, and he ran for Congress. He's a retired Air Force major, combat veteran. And so right there, he puts him head and shoulders above his opposition. His opposition is a frickin' banker. God, I dislike bankers in politics. So he's up against a banker. Now, funny thing about this banker, she puts out some real expensive mailers. She, how do you say this right? She's endorsed by Trump. And so being endorsed by Trump tells me everything I need to know about her. She's probably, the law will mean nothing to her when it comes time to cast her votes. But John, it'll mean something. So they had the election. We are a top 2 primary state in Washington. That means people who get the top 2 number of people get the votes, they show up on the ballot. She got 35% of the vote, and that was the number 1 vote getter. He got 31%. That means he's number 2. That means they're on the ballot against each other. She spent $89 a vote to get the votes she got. He spent $5 a vote to get the vote he got. It's because he's a good man. He's an honest man. He's out there working his ass off to get elected. He's not sitting in an office relying on his Trump endorsement and his banker buddies sending him money. So that's why right now, if I tell you that we get John Dureski on the show, I hope the heck you tune in because, and I'll invite his opposition too. If he comes on, I will do my best to get her on too, so that we can have an honest comparison against a Trump endorsed banker and a working man who knows what it's like to wear a plaid shirt and serve in the military. And I don't mean like Trump. The only time he ever got anywhere close to the military is when he said, "Nah, I don't think I want to go out there and look at the tombstones of our dead soldiers because it's raining and my hair, might get mussed." Blah blah. So that said, thank you guys all for watching. And enjoyed having you here. And now what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go get off my dead butt and I'm going to go in and edit another story. I'm trying to get more editing done for our An American Storm, our current book. And I have one book that's on hold because my editor moved on, and I'm going to have to finish that one too. And that's Alternative Liberties. So, Alternative Leadership. But we're having fun over here at BQ Press. We got books in the workings, books in the making, and we're going to have books hitting the streets. I just got to get off my dead butt and stop worrying about life. Those of you who are familiar with Richland know that there's called a junk house. It was the guy, they had like a double, triple lot, I don't know, big ass lot. And he actually had it fence to fence full of garbage. And finally they got his house burned down. And guess who I had the privilege of moving in next door to me? Now, the bright part is I don't have to look at the house next door because I can't see it for all the stacked up stuff that's there. But it's interesting. Every now and then you're going to see me make a comment about it. I'm a live and let live kind of guy, but when your stacks of garbage are so high that they're shading my driveway, it gets a little much. And the it'll be fun. But anyway, thank you guys for showing up. It's all going to be good here. And Andrew, I these oh my God, Barbara is a pagan. You know, I do this long enough, I'm going to find out more and more. I don't consider myself a pagan. I'm more of a socialist. Um, and I would like to remind, by the way, something before I go. Everybody is out there seems to take it upon themselves to write some little essay about communists and Wiccan. Okay, thank you, Barb. About communists and the difference between communism and socialism and why they're both bad. Well, I will tell you, communists and socialists were the primary targets of the Nazis and the greatest enemies the Nazis ever had. Um, and so, frankly, I would rather be voting for socialists and communists uh, over the Nazis any day of the week. And if you're voting for Trump, you're voting for the essence, or Trump and Trump's people. They are the essence of the modern Nazi in terms of their policy, Nazi or fascist, whatever you want to call it. They believe in those principles. And I'd rather believe in the principles of socialism. We got to call it democratic socialism, okay. But socialism is not about the government taking your cow. Socialism is about the fundamental things that we're all in this together. And we got to act like we're in this together. We got to work to help each other and move forward together. So thank you guys and be good. Bye-bye.